So the reason for today's webinar session is to go through the positive solutions setting remuneration process. So just to confirm, this process is only for positive solutions advisors. If you are an intrinsic advisor or working alongside an intrinsic advisor, you need to follow the intrinsic setting remuneration guidelines, which are on the intrinsic extranet. So what I've done is I've set up a dummy case on the Office web system. I'm going to go through setting protection commission, a mortgage procuration fee, a pension and investment initial and an ongoing charge, and also the new client direct and a mortgage admin fee process as well. So I'll just bring Office Web over onto my screen for you to have a look at. And I've just set it up under Timothy Tester here on the test system. And you probably get asked this all the time as well, you know, how do I find if I've set remuneration? So if you ever want to check if remuneration has been set on a quote, you just click on the quotes list in Office Web. And then from here you should be able to see whether the product has been applied for and then remuneration set in this column here. Okay, so I'll go through the protection case first of all. So we've got an LV life and critical illness case set up here. We just need to click on set remuneration at the bottom of the screen. And most of the information should be brought through from Workbench, from the Workbench case. And it's basically anything in yellow is mandatory, so anything in yellow needs to be completed by the advisor. So most of the information here is already complete. So I just need to work my way through the tabs just along the top. And this administration section here, in most cases you won't need to fill anything in. You'd only do this if you're splitting the commission or the fee with another advisor. So if it's another advisor, internally you would set it in this section here, referred by AR. If it's an introducer, so an external introducer, you set it in this section at the bottom. Okay, so we're just going to leave this blank for the time being and move on to the compliance tab. So I'm just going to fill in this quite quickly. And click on the tick icon at the end. And then again, just moving along to the next tab. So for protection commission, it always goes in the remuneration section. It would never go in the fees section. So we're just going to fill out this page here. And I'm going to pop in that it's just initial only for this particular case. And then here you've got the option for charge, indemnity or non-indemnity. So this is quite important with your protection cases. If you do click on indemnity, then you will have the 3% taken and placed into the reserve account. If you click on non-indemnity, then you won't have the 3% taken. Okay. So for this case, because it's a protection case, I'm just going to click on indemnity. And then that's all we need to complete, so we can just click on save at the bottom. And again, you might get an error message like this, but you can just override it by clicking on OK. And then we can see now against the LV policy, we've got the remuneration set as yes. So again, if you want to check that it's definitely been set, or you want to check the information that you've set against it, you can click on the policy list. And you can see that policy now is sitting on the pipeline. If you want to see the amount that's been set, you just need to click on the policy detail just at the bottom of the page here. And then back to that remuneration tab. Okay, and we can see that we've set up £1,500 for this particular case. Okay, so that's the first case set. So we'll just go back and pick another example. So we'll just go on the mortgage case that we've set up as well. And this is going to be a mortgage procuration fee. So again, we just need to click on set remuneration at the bottom and fill in the relevant information. So it's important for positive solutions advisors that at the moment they're always picking the L&G, well, legal and general, as a packager, because that's where we receive the procuration fees for. Unfortunately, because it's a test system that I'm using at the moment, it won't let me pick the packager. So for this particular case, I'm just going to select none. But please make sure if you're a positive solutions advisor or working with a positive solutions advisor that you click on legal and general for the packager. Okay. So again, I'm just going to click on the yellow field here just to complete, and just work your way through the tabs along the top. Okay, and similar to the protection case, for all mortgage procuration fees, they need to go in the remuneration tab. Okay, so they don't go in the fees tab, they go into the remuneration tab. And again, you've got this option. As you can see here, it's defaulted to indemnity, which obviously isn't correct for a mortgage case. So we need to make sure we manually change that to non-indemnity to make sure we don't have the 3% reserve taken on the fee when it comes in. Okay, so we can either change it to charge or non-indemnity. And again, you've got the amount of the fee in there, and then when we're ready, we can just click on Save at the bottom. So we don't need to touch the Fees tab at all. And there we go. It's just telling us there that we've just missed out a field. Okay, so it won't let us save until we've completed everything. Okay, and again, we can see there that the remuneration has been set, so we can see that everything has been set on the case. And if we go to the policy list, we'll see that B&M Solutions mortgage is on the pipeline now as well. So the final case is the Scandia ISA that I've set up. So for this particular case, we're going to set up an initial charge of 1.5% of the fund value, and then an ongoing charge of 0.5%. So again, if I just click on Set Remuneration at the bottom of the page and just make sure that everything in yellow is complete, which it looks like it is. I'll go through the tabs along the top again. Okay, and then with this case, instead of clicking into the remuneration section, we need to enter it into the fees tab. So if we click into fees, we'll see that it's already expecting an initial and an ongoing charge to be set up. So what we need to do first of all is to set up the initial charge. So click on Add Initial One-Off. And again, you should be able to just make out a couple of these fields that are in yellow. So again, they are the mandatory fields. And I've already filled some of this section in on the initial page, so it's pulled it through for us. So we've got the current value of the funds, which is £10,000, and then we've put in an amount of 1.5% advisor charge. So it's already calculated the amount for us. So we just click on Save at the bottom. And again, it pops up with this message, which is absolutely fine. It just says the current policy will be used to facilitate the advisor charge. Select OK to proceed, or cancel if you want to set an alternative method of payment. So that's absolutely fine. It's just telling the system that we're setting up a provider fee. Okay, and then you're brought onto the fee template, if you like. So again, we just need to fill in anything that's mandatory highlighted in yellow. We always get asked this at the advisor support team, why do you have to put an invoice date in? Because obviously you're not invoicing the provider, they're going to pay the fee automatically. But it's a system constraint, and unfortunately you've just got to put in today's date in here, okay? So you'll always have to put in today's date in the invoice date field. And then you pop in the reason for your fee. For this particular case, it's going to be the recommendation wrapper / product initial. And then we need to fill in the advice area. Again, it's going to be investments. And then the VAT at the bottom, and it's important that they either click exempt or standard rates. Obviously, if they put in standard rate, then the VAT will be deducted. And then the last field for us to change here is the type of service. So we're just going to put in independent for this particular case. It's already filled in all of these details, but if you wanted to change this to, say, for example, a fixed amount, you could change that there and then put in the amount. Is client contact paying? That should always be no. Okay. Again, it doesn't quite sound right, but that's the way that the system works, and you have to put in no in this particular section. And then once you've filled in anything in yellow, you can just click on Save at the bottom. Okay, and it's just popped the amount in there for us. So we've got the £150 charge, which is the 1.5% of the initial amount. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and set the ongoing as well. So the reason for your fee is going to be recommendation wrapper/product ongoing. And it automatically defaults to by provider/platform, and it won't allow you to change that. The reason being is that the client fees are set up slightly different, which I'll go through in a moment with you. Type of advice, again, I'll just click on independent for the sake of this case. Its current value as the charge structure. The payments, we're just going to select monthly for this case, and we're going to pop in there that we've got a 0.5% ongoing charge. Okay, VAT again, I'll just select exempt for this case, and then the advice area is the last field that you need to fill in. Okay, so once it's all complete, we can just click on Save at the bottom, and there we are. So it's got the initial and the ongoing charge set up there. And if, for example, you wanted to add on another one, or you wanted to edit that in any way, you can do so using the buttons here. So I'm just going to click on Save. And there we go. We can see again that the Scandia ISA now has gone onto pipeline. And another question that we do get asked quite often is, you know, I've forgotten to either put the fee on there, or I don't know how to amend it, so I want to change it. You can just click on the case on your policy list and down to policy detail, and you can see all those screens that we had a moment ago when we were setting the remuneration. So you can go back to your fees, and I can go in, click on this fee here, and then click on edit at the bottom if I wanted to change it. Okay, and it just brings us back through to those screens, and then you've got the edit button at the bottom. Okay, alternatively, if you wanted to take the fee off completely, in the status here, you can change that to cancelled. So if I select that on this case and click on Save, it's disappeared now, so it's come off, and there's no further fee expectation on that particular case. Okay, so you can do that. So I'm just going to cancel and come out of this section, and then I'll just go through the last scenario for you, which was a client's direct charge. Again, this is quite a new process for the Positive Solutions advisors, and it only relates to Positive Solutions advisors. You'll only need to do this if you're a PS partner. Okay, so you need to click on Add Manual at the bottom of your quotes list. And the policy type will always be Other. And I'm not sure if it will allow me to do this on a test system, but we'll give it a go. So the provider needs to be Positive Solutions Client Direct Charge. And then here you've got the options for a client or direct mortgage fee. And on the live system, you should also get one further option which says direct mortgage admin fee. And if you click on that, it will trigger the system so that you basically charged at a 0% retention. Okay, we don't have this unfortunately on the test system, but it does have that on the live system. We've also got a guidance document to back that up as well. So if anybody wants to have a look at the guidance document or send that to anybody, just let somebody in the advisor support team know and we can get that for you, okay? So for this case, I'm just going to set up a one-off initial client charge. And again, you can link second clients on there as well. So if you've got more than one client that's linked to this particular charge, you can do that by clicking on Life Assured 2 and then linking the second client in. For the time being, I'll just leave this as Timothy Tester on here. Then another important point to note here is that you need to click on Advisor Charging rather than Commission. We've had a couple of cases come through recently where the advisor's clicked on Commission and it's not set up the fee properly, so it needs to be clicked on Advisor Charging. Okay. And then we've got a drop down here. We can either select both initial one-off one-off or ongoing. So for this case, I'll just set it up as an initial one-off charge. And the charge structure, we're going to put in as fixed amount. And I'm going to say this particular charge is £500. And the frequency will just be single. Okay. If you wanted, or the advisor wanted to set up an ongoing client direct charge as well, you can do this here. They would just need to click on the both drop down from this menu, and then you could add the ongoing to the right here. Okay. So once that's all set up, again we can just click on save, and that sort of set it up like a shell policy, if you like, on the system. So now that we've got that on there, we've got applied for yes and remuneration set no in this column here. So we do need to go through and set the remuneration on that case. So just in the usual way, it's set remuneration at the bottom, and just make sure everything in yellow is completed. And an important point to note here is the reference code. It's not actually highlighted in mandatory, so perhaps we can change that on the system, but that is quite important. We need to make sure we get the right number in there. So the number that all advisors should be using for the reference code is their work smart or intrinsic number along with the client's surname. So it should be, for a financial planner, something like FPA, and then it'll be 6 numbers. So I'll just make one up here for this particular case, and then the client's surname at the end. Okay. So it's always the advisor's own intrinsic number plus the client's surname. Okay. So I'll just again work my way through the tabs along the top. And just filling in anything that's in yellow. Now the remuneration tab with the client direct charge, it always needs to be 0, and the basis always needs to be charged. Okay, so they shouldn't enter the amount of the fee in here. It should always go in the fees tab, just like a ISA investment pension case. All those types of provider facilitated charges, it's the same sort of situation, so it always goes in the fees tab. So here we're going to click on add initial one-off. And again, you'll get this error message, but that's fine. We can click OK. And it's already populated some of the fields for us here. So we've got the charging structure, which is going to be a fixed amount, and the amount is £500. So again, we can just click on save. And as I mentioned with the previous case, it will only allow you to put today's date in the invoice date. So I'm going to put in the 20th of October. Fortunately, for some reason, it won't let you backdate it. The reason for the fee, for this particular case, I'm just going to put in review only initial. And then our advice area will be, say for this one, it was a mortgage. VAT exempt, and then there's just one final drop down here to fill in, which is the type of service. So I'm going to put in independent here. Again, we've got this question, is the client/contact paying? It should always be no. Again, I know technically the client is going to be paying for this fee. It needs to be no because it's going through as a provider fee. The reason that we do this is just to make sure the payment automatically matches when it comes into head office. So it's set up as if it's a provider fee, even though it's technically not. This question always needs to be no. Okay. And again, we can just click on save. And that's our initial amount set up there. Okay, so I'm just going to click on save again. And as we can see now, we've got the Positive Solutions client direct charge now sitting in our pipeline as if it were a provider fee. So that's the correct way to process those 4 different types of fees and commission payments as well. So hopefully that's helped.